Then he began to go forward, but discretion, piety, charity, and prudence would accompany him down to the foot of the hill. So they went on together, reiterating their former discourses, till they came to go down the hill. Then, said Christian, as it was difficult coming up, so far as I can see, it is dangerous going down. Yes, said Prudence, so it is, for it is a hard matter for a man to go down into the Valley of Humiliation, as you are now, and to catch no slip by the way. Therefore, said they, are we come out to accompany you down the hill. So he began to go down, but very warily, yet he caught a slip or two. Then I saw in my dream that these good companions, when Christian was gone to the bottom of the hill, gave him a loaf of bread, a bottle of wine, and a cluster of raisins, and then he went on his way. But now, in this Valley of Humiliation, poor Christian was hard put to it, for he had gone but a little way, before he espied a foul fiend coming over the field to meet him. His name is Apollyon. Then did Christian begin to be afraid, and to cast in his mind whether to go back or to stand his ground. But he considered again that he had no armor for his back, and therefore thought that to turn the back to him might give him the greater advantage, with ease to pierce him with his darts. Therefore he resolved to venture and stand his ground, for, thought he, had I no more in mine eye than the saving of my life, it would be the best way to stand. So he went on, and Apollyon met him. Now the monster was hideous to behold. He was clothed with scales, like a fish, and they are his pride. He had wings like a dragon, feet like a bear, and out of his belly came fire and smoke, and his mouth was as the mouth of a lion. When he was come up to Christian, he beheld him with a disdainful countenance, and thus began to question with him. Whence come you? And whither are you bound? Apollyon asked. I am come from the city of destruction, which is the place of all evil, and am going to the city of Zion, replied Christian. By this I perceive you are one of my subjects, for all that country is mine, and I am the prince and god of it. How is it, then, that you have run away from your king? Were it not that I hope you mayest do me more service, I would strike you now, at one blow, to the ground, said Apollyon. I was born, indeed, in your dominions, but your service was hard, and your wages such as a man could not live on. For the wages of sin is death. Therefore, when I was come to years, I did as other considerate persons do, look out, if, perhaps, I might mend myself, said Christian. There is no prince that will thus lightly lose his subjects, either will I as yet lose you. But since you complainest of your service and wages, be content to go back. What our country will afford, I do here promise to give you, replied Apollyon. But I have let myself to another, even to the king of princes. And how can I, with fairness, go back with you? Asked Christian. You have done in this according to the proverb, changed a bad for a worse. But it is ordinary for those that have professed themselves his servants, after a while to give him the slip, and return again to me. Do you so too, and all shall be well, said Apollyon. I have given him my faith, and sworn my allegiance to him. How then, can I go back from this, and not be hanged as a traitor? Asked Christian. You did the same to me, and yet I am willing to pass by all, if now you will yet turn again and go back, Apollyon replied. What I promised you was in my nonage, and besides I count the prince under whose banner now I stand as able to absolve me, yea, and to pardon also what I did as to my compliance with you. And besides, O you destroying Apollyon! To speak truth, I like his service, his wages, his servants, his government, his company, and country, better than thine, and therefore, leave off to persuade me further. I am his servant, and I will follow him, Christian said. Consider again, when you are in cool blood, what you are like to meet with in the way that you go, said Apollyon. You knowest that, for the most part, his servants come to an ill end, because they are transgressors against me and my ways. How many of them have been put to shameful deaths? And besides, you count his service better than mine, whereas he never came yet from the place where he is to deliver any that served him out of their hands. But as for me, how many times, as all the world very well knows, have I delivered, either by power or fraud, those that have faithfully served me, from him and his, though taken by them, and so I will deliver you. His forbearing at present to deliver them is on purpose to try their love, said Christian, whether they will cleave to him to the end. And as for the ill end you sayest they come to, that is most glorious, in their account for present deliverance. They do not much expect it, for they stay for their glory, and then they shall have it, when their prince comes in his and the glory of the angels. You have already been unfaithful in your service to him, and how do you think to receive wages of him? Asked Apollyon. Wherein, O Apollyon, have I been unfaithful to him? Asked Christian. You didst faint at first setting out, when you were almost choked in the gulf of despond. You didst attempt wrong ways to be rid of your burden, whereas against you should have stayed till your prince had taken it off. You didst sinfully sleep, and lose your choice thing. You were, also, almost persuaded to go back, at the sight of the lions. And when you talkest of your journey, and of what you have heard and seen, you are inwardly desirous of vainglory in all that you say or do, Apollyon said. All this is true, and much more which you have left out, but the prince, whom I serve and honor, is merciful, and ready to forgive. But besides, these infirmities possess me in your country, for there I sucked them in, and I have groaned under them, been sorry for them, and have obtained pardon of my prince, said Christian. Then Apollyon broke out into a grievous rage, saying, I am an enemy to this prince. I hate his person, his laws, and people. I am come out on purpose to withstand you. Then Christian said, Apollyon, beware what you do, for I am in the king's highway, the way of holiness. Therefore take heed to yourself. Then Apollyon straddled quite over the whole breadth of the way, and said, I am void of fear in this matter. Prepare yourself to die. For I swear by my infernal den, that you shall go no further. Here will I spill your soul. And with that he threw a flaming dart at his breast. But Christian had a shield in his hand, with which he caught it, and so prevented the danger of that. Then did Christian draw, for he saw it was time to bestir him, and Apollyon as fast made at him, throwing darts as thick as hail, by the which, notwithstanding all that Christian could do to avoid it, Apollyon wounded him in his head, his hand, and foot. This made Christian give a little back. Apollyon, therefore, followed his work amain, and Christian again took courage, and resisted as manfully as he could. This sore combat lasted for above half a day, even till Christian was almost quite spent, for you must know that Christian, by reason of his wounds, must needs grow weaker and weaker. Then Apollyon, seeing his opportunity, began to gather up close to Christian, and wrestling with him, gave him a dreadful fall, and with that, Christian's sword flew out of his hand. Then said Apollyon, I am sure of you now. And with that he had almost pressed him to death, so that Christian began to despair of life. But as God would have it, while Apollyon was fetching of his last blow, thereby to make a full end of this good man, Christian nimbly stretched out his hand for his sword, and caught it, saying, Rejoice not against me, O mine enemy, when I fall I shall arise. And with that gave him a deadly thrust, which made him give back, as one that had received his mortal blow. Christian perceiving that, made at him again, saying, Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. And with that Apollyon spread forth his dragon's wings, and sped him away, that Christian for a season saw him no more. In this combat no man can imagine, unless he had seen and heard as I did, what yelling and hideous roaring Apollyon made all the time of the fight. He spake like a dragon, and on the other side, what sighs and groans burst from Christian's heart. I never saw him all the while give so much as one pleasant look, till he perceived he had wounded Apollyon with his two-edged sword. Then indeed, he did smile, and look upward, but it was the most dreadful sight that ever I saw. So when the battle was over, Christian said, I will here give thanks to him that delivered me out of the mouth of the lion, to him that did help me against Apollyon. And so he did, saying, Great Beelzebub, the captain of this fiend, designed my ruin. Therefore to this end, he sent him harnessed out, and he with rage, that hellish was, did fiercely me engage. But blessed Michael helped me, and I, by dint of sword, did quickly make him fly. Therefore to him let me give lasting praise, and thank and bless his holy name always. Then there came to him a hand, with some of the leaves of the tree of life, the which Christian took, and applied to the wounds that he had received in the battle, and was healed immediately. He also sat down in that place to eat bread, and to drink of the bottle that was given him a little before. So being refreshed, he addressed himself to his journey, with his sword drawn in his hand, for he said, I know not, but some other enemy may be at hand. But he met with no other affront from Apollyon quite through this valley.